Welcome to Learn Lightship, a series I created to help you become an augmented reality developer or take your AR skills to the next level using Niantic Lightship ARDK. Last time I showed you how to use semantics. What are semantics? Semantics allows you to identify real-world objects like the sky, the grass, the ground, the building, people. Today, I'm actually going to show you how to place persistent content at real-world positions. You'll simply tap on your phone and you'll place prefabs or game objects in an actual position. There's a lot of news this week. The Meta Quest 3 came out, but also next week there's an AR/VR conference. So let's learn together and let's get Niantic. Before we dive into learning, let's go over some quick news. Check it out. Coming soon, Niantic Lightship 3.0. Right now we're using Lightship ARDK 3.0 beta, but you can see you can get notified when you actually will be able to use Lightship. You can simply sign up here to be the first to learn about it. So check the link in the description and you'll be able to sign up. I'm helping you to learn Lightship, but why not meet Niantic and many others at Meta Global Week in Orlando, October 17th through the 19th. So there's this AR/VR conference that is happening, and here is the Niantic section. On Wednesday, we'll talk about their latest release. Let's check the agenda out, and all we're gonna do is search for Niantic. And you can see here is a live demo with Jamaica's great live demonstration and walkthrough of that. Here's one of the sessions, building real world AR with Niantic Lightship. Definitely, if you're in Orlando or near Orlando, definitely check out the Meta Center. You can see Niantic's actually giving you 20% off the ticket price, and you'll be able to learn about Lightship 3.0 and all the enhancements that they've made. So to use this code, you could simply come to the Immerse Global Summit, click on tickets. You can see VIP. If you wanted just the regular admission, get 2-day admission or this, $5.99. Register now. Promo code right here. You're going to use Niantic 20. Paste it. And then it will give you the 20% off, and then you can select your ordering. This is the objectives for today. Here we are at lightship.dev, and let's go to our mouse over learn and select Beginner's Atlas. We're going to come down here to the glossary. And first, real world positioning using depth. We're going to place these objects in the real world and we'll have persistence. Well, one of the terms we should know is persistence right here. The ability to place something in the same place in space and have it stay in that place over time. In this tutorial, you'll see how easy Niantic allows you to tap on your phone and it will place a augmented reality object or prefab in the real world and it will be persistent. To get started, I'm going to open up our Learn Lightship series. If this is your first video, you can check out our Learn Lightship playlist and you can see the first video actually shows you how to get set up with ARDK 3.0 beta. And if you want to also learn about semantic segmentation, you can check out this video here. But to get started, simply need a simple Unity project, create one, and then follow the simple steps in this video. So let's get started with how to convert a screen point to a real world position using depth. With our Unity project open, we definitely want to stay organized. I'm going to right click on scenes and let's make a new scene. And I'm just going to call it HowTo screen world position. Let's open up that and we're simply going to follow these steps. I'm going to go ahead and delete our camera. And we want to add in our XR requirements. So we got XR AR session, and I can right click and go to XR and do XR Origin Mobile. Remember, you can also click on this plus icon in the hierarchy and select that there. The XR Origin will have your camera inside of here. The next thing we need to do is add an occlusion manager to them. So you don't actually have to add them to both. Let me just show you. If we go back to setting up real world occlusion, on this one, it simply says in the hierarchy to the main object, add a component and add an occlusion manager. So let's stick with a little consistency. We're going to click on main here, and over here on the right side, we're going to do AR occlusion manager. So we're going to add that to our camera. With that set up, we want to go ahead and create our script. So you can see we're calling the script depth to screen world position. I'm going to right click. I'm going to create a new C# script, and let's call it the same thing, depth screen to world position. I'm going to make a empty object to add that script to. So I'm going to click on plus, create a screen empty object, and let's call it screen to world position. I will just drag this to that. And now let's go ahead and open up and code. So our code opens up, and you can see Niantic gives you the code right here. Just make sure at the top, let's put in our variables, and then I'll give you some time to type it in. So here, just to show you quickly, that AR manager, we need to do public AR occlusion manager, and I'm going to call it occlusion manager like that. And you can see I'm getting an error. Why am I getting an error? Because I did not import what I need, my using statements up here. So definitely pay attention to make sure that you have all these. I can fix that easily by doing Option Enter on my Mac. It gives me some suggestions. What do I want to use? And you can see I want the AR foundations. Got some other things in here. So let's just type these in. I'm going to do using Niantic Lightship AR.utilities. We also need using Unity Engine .xr.ar subsystems. So with that, I want you to pause the video and then type out. Don't copy and paste. Learn the code by typing out. So type out this information, and then we will test this. Now that you've typed it out, let me just know, I'll show you how I know if you didn't. So I called mine occlusion manager. You may see this. Why do I be getting this error? I just copied everything on here. I intentionally changed the name of this variable. So if you copy it in, this wouldn't work because it does not have that variable. That's how I know. If you saw that error, you obviously copied it in. You did not type it out, like I said. So in the around here, prefab to spawn, I called mine prefab to spawn. All right, with that, we actually are done. That easy. You have the script now. When you use your smartphone to tap and place your AR content in the world position, it'll have persistence, what we talked about, and it'll be placed there. So let's save this. We're gonna go back to our Unity, and we click back on our screen to world position. You can see we need the occlusion manager to connect it. We need our camera, and we also need, what are we gonna create? The prefab that we want to spawn. So let's connect our occlusion manager. Remember, we have it, we added it here on our main camera. So we're simply gonna drag the main camera to there, and you can see it has the occlusion manager. We also need our main camera there. And now for the prefab to spawn, what do we want to place? What are we gonna spawn? We don't wanna put one of these basic objects like a cube. We wanna actually put something that makes sense. So I could use some of the people that we've done before, but I'm not showing you how to use the Unity Asset Store. Let's go to that. This is the Unity Asset Store. You can get the link in the description below, but we can do a search. Niantic's all about getting outside, so let's do something outside. Let's do flowers. So let's do a search for flowers. And you can see on the Unity Asset Store, if you're not a 3D designer and you don't know how to create objects, you can actually search this, and you can also purchase objects. These 3D artists are amazing in creating these assets you need, so definitely reward them as well. But for this, I want to keep everything free. So we did a search for flowers. You can see we got all these flowers. We have a bunch of results, but we want to weed it down. We want 3D. So there's 822 3D flowers here. And then now let's go, we're going to click free assets. And now we have 48 free assets that you can choose from. If you wanted low poly, if you wanted roses, you can see all these different type of things that you want. Or you can search for something else if you don't want to do flowers. So I'm going to choose this one, low poly flowers, and I can click add to my assets. Now, if you're not signed in like this, we want to click up here. I'm simply going to sign in with my Google account. Now I can click add to my assets, accept. So once I click on add to assets, you can see I can do open in Unity. I'll push allow. To add it into my project, I simply need to select download and then import. And I select import there. Now you can see in my project, I have all these flowers that I can add from the Unity store. We got it for free. So what I want you to do, search the asset store for flowers or something you want to randomly spawn in your AR experience. You can do 3D, you can do free assets, and just get something free. If you want to purchase something, you can. Search the asset store and then import it into your Unity project, just like I showed you. Pause the video and find some amazing assets. Now that you've downloaded your assets and added it to your project, you can find that folder. Like you can see mine, I have all these flowers that I add. Let's just see what they actually look like. So I'm just going to select all these guys and drag them into my window. And then if I select on a game object, you mouse over your scene area and you press F, it will zoom into it. So here is all the things that I have in there. One of the things for our code, we only can place one prefab inside of here. So we could change the code to randomly select one of these. And that's what I want to do next. And then we will test this in the real world. So let's go back to our code. And here, instead of doing prefab to spawn, I'm going to change it and say prefabs to spawn. I'm going to also update and put a opening bracket and a closing here. That allows to select multiple. And when I did prefabs to spawn, you can see this now changes. We want to first get a random prefab to spawn. And right here, I'm just going to do int random is equal to random dot range. And I'm going to put in the values so you can see minimum exclusive and max exclusive. So we have to give it a range of what we want to pick from. Well, this is an array of objects. So we want to actually pick from the number of items that are here. So we're going to start at 0. And the maximum exclusive means it's not going to be included in the actual value. So we're going to say prefabs to spawn dot length. So this will go, if we have 5 objects, we will go from 0 to 5. And that's not going to matter because arrays start with a 0 index. So this is what we want. We got this random item. Now here we're just going to do prefabs to spawn that, and I'm going to put random inside of there. Now our code is simply fixed. It will randomly spawn one of our prefabs that we've created that we add into here. So let's save this code. We're gonna come back over here and Unity reloads. You can see I want to put all these in there. I'm not gonna leave it here in the screen. So you can see here, now we have prefabs to spawn. Since we made it an array, I can actually type in 7 and we can connect these, but I also want to scale it up, right? So I'll drop these down and connect them, and then let's actually scale these guys. So I'm going to drag in each one of these. 1, 2. These look like this, but they might be smaller or bigger than our actual scale. And the way I like to do it is just to create a simple cube as our reference point. So I'm going to right click, I'm going to create a 3D object, cube. And you can see our cube is way, way, way bigger than these small flowers. So let's test placement, and then we might want to scale it up to this cube. So let's first hide all these. I'm just gonna select all of them, turn them off, and let's test how it currently works at this size. We haven't scaled these up. So I'm gonna do file save, go to our build settings. Don't want HowTo semantics, we want our new HowTo screen world position. So I'm just going to add the open scene. I'm going to delete our previous, and now I want to build this project. And I'm going to come out of here and make this screen world position, and I'll build it in that folder. You see it builds, and we're just going to simply open it up. Now that it's built, I'm just going to open up our project, and you can see I have my phone attached. I'm going to go ahead and it says build failed. Make sure you have automatic manage, signing, and you have to set in your team. Now we can go ahead and press play. It will install to our phone, and we can test how big is the flowers, and we might need to scale it up. Maybe one at the size of the cube, which is a 1 meter, which is about 3 feet. Or maybe we like the size that it currently is, so we will see. So now you can see it's running on my phone. I'm gonna disconnect. So let's see if I tap. Placed a bunch of them. If I tap here. So let's scale it up, kind of like I told you. It also did a bunch at the same time, so we can fix that if you have this issue. So we're inside our update. Update once per frame. It runs 60 frames a second or 30 frames a second, depending on your device. So when we tap one time, it's spawning a bunch. So it's coming in here a bunch of different times. So we can actually just add a quick variable. We can come here, public bool. Let's call it spawning prefab. Set it to default to false. And this variable limits how much we spawn. So if we come down here, simply going to, we're entering if the depth value has a value and spawning prefab. So we're going to say if it's not spawning, so not is that, then we want to do this information. And what we first will do is say spawning prefab is equal to true, change so doesn't spawn multiple prefabs. And then we can actually, let's instantiate and then add a weight to it. So what we got to first do is make sure we're outside of this update. So I'm just going to collapse that, come down here. I'm going to do an I enumerator, and let's call it spawning prefab. And inside of here, we're going to say yield return new wait for seconds. And let's wait 2 seconds. So wait 2 seconds. And if we come back down to our update, we want to pull these two things out. We're going to put it over here. But when we put it over here, we don't have a world position anymore, which is this part. So we can simply pass that in. And if we mouse over this, we can see this returns a vector 3. So inside of here, we're going to do vector 3, and that's world position. So over here, spawn prefab, and we can just type in this spawning prefab with our brackets. Well, we have an error because we need our variable. So inside of here, I'm just going to type world position, world position. And now here's a warning. Spawning prefab should be called using start routines. You can do start coroutine and just wrap the entire thing like this. So this will limit it spawning a bunch of things. We're going to make this true. We come in here, we get our random item, we create it. We wait for 2 seconds, and then we want to make this false. Make false, so can tap again and place one object only. So now it should only place one of those objects. And then the last thing we need to do is scale up our object. So we'll come back over here to our project. And let's scale these guys up. So I'm going to unhide all these and back over here and scene. You can see these are super small compared to our cube, which is our standard 1 by 1 by 1, which is a meter, which is 3 feet. I'm going to select the first one. I'm going to select all of these. You can press R on your keyboard, or over here are your tools. You can mouse over this. This is a scale tool. With all these selected, I'm just going to pull from the middle up until I get to a good enough. And I'm going to hide that cube now. Now we have to apply this scale to our actual prefabs. And you can see here, when I collect overrides and I try to do apply, I can't. So all we have to simply do is let's make our own. I'm going to make an empty object. I will call it flower 1. I will drag in my flower 1. Now I know it's the exact scale I want it. And now I can make a prefab. With my prefab folder open, I'm just going to drag this to here. And now I have my own prefab that I can use. So you can see I've created my prefabs inside of here. One thing I wanted to make sure that you do is make sure that your prefab objects are also at 0, 0, 0. My flower is at 0, 0, but if I do this, when you tap in the real world, it would be off. So definitely going to make all these 0, 0, 0. So now you can see if I come to overrides, I can apply to my personal prefab. So I'm going to do the exact same thing for all these. I want to make sure that the one that we imported is 0, 0, 0, so it shows up at the exact point, and I will do apply for my overrides. So pause the video, reset all of your positions. Okay, now that we have all our prefabs done, so now I could delete these guys. We gotta update this. We don't want these flowers, we want our original ones. So we're gonna swap these out. With that, we can build this, test it. So let's go to save project, go to the build folder. Let's build it again. All right, so it's built. Let's run it and install it. You can see it's installed to my phone. I disconnect it from. So this video is kind of long. We've created how to use our phone to tap to place persistent AR content in the real world. Here's my challenge to you. Think about what you could make, what type of app or what type of game could you make with this technology. Pause the video, think about what you're gonna make, and then I want you to design it in the future. But just pause the video right now, brainstorm, what could you make using this technology? Now that you're back, let's see what I built using this technology. What I built was an Amazon AR clone. You can actually scroll through the boxes in AR. And then when you select view in your room, you can see the price, you can add to the cart, and you can place it. So now you can see it places the actual object, and I can move it around. And this is using the exact same things that I just showed you, tapping screen to world position using Niantic Lightship. Let's check out some other items that we can add. What else do we have? An espresso machine for $169. I can place it up there and then reposition it. Maybe I want it right on top of my 3D printer. Let's check out some other stuff. What about this stand mixer? It's on sale, $199 instead of $319. And just to see how big it is, if I placed it here on my table, this is using exactly what we just used. What about this electric kettle? There we go. Nice size. You tap and it will place it in that position. We can also tap other places and reposition that same thing. What about the microwave oven? Let's see how that will look inside of here. Maybe I want it next to the Thanos glove. Now, so that's what I built, the Amazon clone, using the same technology that I just showed you, tapping on your phone and placing an object in a real world position. You've brainstormed your idea, so now what I want you to do, my challenge, use the skills that you learn and build out your project. I hope you had fun this week. I know I've been missing for a while, but I'm back. I have my weekends back to actually work. So I'll see you next week and learn Lightship. AR is going to change the world. Everyone can learn, so let's create a diverse group of immersioneers. Learn more about Vision OS or Lightship by subscribing, liking, and sharing today.